Good morning, you guys. How are you doing today? A few different messages today. All right. Some of you are creatively blocked right now, and you need to stay open to allow your creativity to flow. Now, you're trying to figure out how to solve an issue, or you're actually working on something that has to do with music. In order for you to be successful in what it is you're trying to do, Spirit is saying you have to be authentically you. And that'll help you to open up and allow the creativity to flow. Spirit wants you to follow your dreams. And like I said, I think it's music related for some of you. Follow your dreams and understand that you're going to get bursts of creativity. But when you're going through situations, it creates blockages and you're not able to relax enough to let the information flow into you. Okay? So that's one message. The other message is to recognize the patterns in your life, in your relationship, and whatever it is that you have going on. Now, like I said, a lot of us, there's patterns, there's cycles, whatever you want to call it, that we go in circles with. Now, Spirit wants you to stop being stubborn, because it's like you're just taking a stance and you're not moving and you're just dead set on whatever the situation is. So, alright, understand that you've been through all of these things. You've had all these lessons, you've had all these lives, you've had all of this. Right now, in this moment, let's say you were walking and you stepped in a hole and you fell. And then tomorrow you walk the same path and you step in the hole and you fall. And then the next day you do the same thing. At some point, you're going to learn how to walk around it to avoid that pitfall. I'm just trying to make it make sense. So, it's the same thing in your relationships. You're attracting these relationships to you because you're supposed to be learning something from them. Now, if you're very stubborn and set in your ways, you're not going to learn the lesson, because there are things that you need to acknowledge about yourself. There's things that you need to accept about the situation, whether you took part in it or you didn't take part in it. And maybe you're in denial about taking part in it or having played a part in it. But understand that the more you experience these situations, there is a reason they keep occurring, but also the more you learn, you have another opportunity to approach the situation differently from how you have been the past. So when you come to these relationships where someone is constantly lying to you or is cheating on you or is using you, find the lesson in that, because you keep going round and round and round with the same situation. It might not be the same person, different people, same lessons, and you'd be like, damn, why is this person presenting themselves again, and what is the reason for this? And when there is that much similarity, there's a reason that it's occurring. So try to figure out what it is, because like I said, it's the same when you take walks. You're not going to keep falling into the same shit, because you're going to learn real quick, like, no, I'm going to avoid that. I'm going to walk around, or I'm going to find another direction. And it's the same way with the lessons that we're supposed to be learning. You go, like, after you've passed it, hindsight 2020, you've already passed it and you know what it is that's happening. You can look back, or you can even look at current circumstances and be like, okay, this is how I've acted before. This was the same situation and this is how it turned out. Now I have more experience, so I can come at it from a different perspective. And in doing that, it'll help you to resolve whatever it is you have going on or you haven't figured out yet. But understand that you are wise enough and you have the wisdom to make the proper decisions and choose the appropriate path. You know what patterns you're avoiding. You know what patterns you need to break. You know all of this already. You really just need to take a minute to sit down and reflect, because in doing that, you will persevere. Whatever your situation is, you will persevere in it. But you have to acknowledge the patterns. You have to acknowledge the roles that you played, because in everything that has occurred in your life, you are the common denominator. So keep that in mind when you're replaying all of these scenarios and all of these stories. You're the constant. Okay, so everybody can't be fucking crazy. Everybody can't be a liar. Everybody can't be a cheater. I mean, they can be. But theoretically speaking, we're going to say everybody's not that way. But you, in your mind and your eyes and how you see things and what you attract to you, that's going to be your belief. So please figure out why you have this stubbornness and why you're keeping yourself stuck and why you're so set on whatever it is you're doing right now, whether it's a job, relationship, whatever it is, because you're keeping yourself going around in circles. And you have the knowledge that you need to break out of it. So figure out why you're allowing it to continue. Okay, now I think this is a little bit more relationship. So, like I said before, we've played the victim in a lot of situations. We've done things. And that's fine initially when you're the victim. But you have to release the denial. You can't stay in denial about the situation that you're in, what's going on, why it happened, and especially if you are denying that you had any part in it. Everything and everyone always has some contribution to what happens. So understand that the stories you tell yourself are just that. They're stories. So the more you repeat these stories, the more you start believing that they're true. So tell yourself a different story, or tell yourself only positive stories, because you're staying stuck in these, you're reliving things that you don't need to relive. Accept things for what they are, how they are, what happened, whatever it is, accept it. And if there was a situation that needed to be resolved, then have a conversation and try to make amends and find peace and find a resolution to it. And if you can't make amends, then you need to find the peace within yourself. And sometimes it is just writing it down to get it out. Sometimes it is just sitting there and having a conversation with yourself, being brutally honest with yourself. Because if you're not going to be honest with yourself, you're not going to get out of this blockage, this thing you have going on right now. So understand that whatever stories you're telling yourself is what's keeping you in denial. So figure out what it is that you've done to contribute to whatever problem you have going on in the past, currently, and just try to accept everything as it is, because it's saying that you're trying to change people or change things that are just unrealistically, you can't change. Like, it's just not going to happen. So try to accept it for what it is. And I know sometimes it's hard, especially if it was the end of a relationship and you don't understand why or how or any combination. But sometimes you really have to sit with yourself, because you say, okay, well, was this a lesson? What was I supposed to learn from it? And sometimes they are lessons. There are things that you need to learn. And it's not always going to be the fun lessons, because if you have low self-esteem or jealous or have insecurities whatever it is that you have going on with you, that's what the person you attract is going to challenge you with. So now that they're challenging you, you have to find out why you have those feelings and deal with those feelings so that you can move past them. But if you can't do that, then you're going to stay stuck in it. And understand that's why the people and the relationships and the challenges, they come at you and they're repetitive, because if you haven't figured it out yet, then you're going to go through it again. And then sometimes you keep going through it because maybe you're not handling it the best way you can, or maybe there's a better way for you to come at the situation. So you have to really sit with this and look at what it is that you're doing and understand that everything is as it should be, and everything doesn't always need to be changed. Okay, and if it has something to do with music, you can't be the victim in the situation, okay? And it looks like you need a partner. You need to bring someone in. And there's all types of loving relationships, friendships, family relationships, like partnerships. And, little, like, everything is love. You have love in every relation, even with animals. There's always love in that. So understand that you have to come together with other people. So if you've been stubborn about that, or you've been in denial about that, you need to let that go and collaborate with someone else. Okay, whether it's a partner, like I said, relationship, or business, whatever the situation is, stop being so stubborn, okay? And allow someone else to come in, because they'll have a fresh perspective, a different look at things, and it'll spark the creativity. It'll have things running for you, okay? So that was that way. Now, in this breakup that you're going through, understand that if you can make amends, then make amends, because it'll be beneficial for everyone. But ask yourself, why do you need the closure? Why do you need to have this conversation? Have you been completely honest about your feelings towards this person? Have you been honest with them? Have you been withholding stuff? Like, really just sit with yourself and find out why it is you feel the way you feel, and try to find the lesson in it. And maybe you'll be able to recover the situation, or sometimes it's best to just leave it alone and allow things to play its course, because true love is going to come back to you. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a reflection. What you have, what you're an embodiment of, is what you're going to find in your partner, as a reflection of you. So whatever it is you don't like, whatever you have going on, please really sit with yourself and look at them and say, okay, well, why is this aggravating me, or why is this bothering me? Because more than likely it has more to do with you and what's inside of you than it does that person. But you have to stop beating yourself up and understand that everything is a lesson, whether it's a good or a bad lesson. Okay? Just, you gotta stop. Get out of your head. Stop beating yourself up. And accept things for what they are, accept people for what they are, and break the patterns, okay? You're wise enough to do that. You have the knowledge, but you have to stop being stubborn and stop being in denial in order to allow things to flow and happen the way it should be happening, okay? Now, the other message is when you're going through repetitive cycles, or you're finding that you keep coming across similar situations, Spirit wants you to trust your intuition and be authentically you, so that you can determine which is the right path or the right pattern for you, because you start noticing things and looking at it and you're like, okay, well, this is a similar thing. But when you do that, you're able to see how you handled the situation. You're able to break those bad habits and move forward, because in breaking those patterns and being authentically you, you're going to find love. You're going to be able to have the loving relationship that you've been looking for. But you have to break your bad habits. You have to break the bad coping mechanisms that you've developed. You have to release the negative stories that you keep telling yourself. Okay, and especially if they're negative love stories, start telling positive ones and say, oh, well, yes, I was in a relationship and, maybe it turned out shitty, but try to highlight the good. Remember what it taught you, but always focus on the good aspects of it, okay? Because in doing that, love is going to come into you. And Spirit wants you to follow your dreams. I'm not sure what they are, but for some of you, it is related to music. And Spirit wants you to understand that you are going to persevere as long as you're able to collaborate and not be so stubborn or be in denial that no one can help you or you have to do it by yourself and that's the only way it's going to get done properly. You have to let that go. You have to allow other people in, because that's when things spark and magic happens. So allow it to happen, okay? Because stubbornness and denial blocks your creativity. And in looking at all of this, it's something that you really need to allow to flow right now. And understand your relationships, whether you're starting it, ending it, looking for one, however any of these messages sit with you. Just understand that it's always best to be authentically you and to do your best to find what needs to be corrected in your thought process and your coping mechanisms, so that way you can proceed with everything Spirit wants you to do, okay? So, and just be the best person you could be. Be nice. But besides that, really, everything's going to start flowing again, but you have to get out of this rut that you put yourself into, because it's not beneficial. Understand, take it as a lesson. And when you figure out what it was, you'll be able to move past it. And again, if they're meant for you, they're going to come back. They're going to come back, but you don't want to sit there and be with someone that's not meant for you and miss out on the person that is meant for you, because then you're really going to be upset that you just wasted so many more years of your life with the wrong person, and by the time you find the right one, you're going to wish you would have just taken the risk at that point in time and just left the other person. So understand that every choice you make has a ripple effect. And because at this very moment you're not ready to let something go, that means you're not letting go of the old, but you're allowing something wonderful to pass you by. So please pay attention to that, okay? Because a lot of us get stuck in our heads. We're stuck in these cycles, or feel this, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank right now, but it's like you feel this urge to just, you're loyal to your shit. You have these things, you have a relationship, you're committed. You're like, well, this and this and this and this, but understand, no, what's meant for you, the path that you're meant to take is the path you're meant to take. Whether or not it's with the person you're with, that's a different story. But understand, your path is your path, and the more you put it on hold, there's going to be a great likelihood that down the road, when you're older and you're in your rocking chair chilling, you're going to be like, why didn't I start this sooner? Why didn't I begin this relationship 20 years ago? I would have been so much happier. Please take all of that into account when you're making decisions to stay stuck and keep repeating cycles and keep repeating lessons, okay? Yeah, it's fun, until you can ace the test, and then you're like, all right, well, now what? I'm sitting here going in circles doing the same shit. So don't do that to yourself, okay? Just just talk to yourself, have the conversations, and ask yourself, why do you want to stay here? What else can you learn from this? What is it? Is this truly the love of your life? Does this person meet your major things? Because everyone has the shit I can compromise on and the shit I'm not going to compromise on. So if you're in a relationship, look at that. And if you just broke up, look at that and be like, did this person really have the core qualities that I was looking for? Did they have the foundation that I want to build on and create with? look at those things, okay, and check in and make sure that that's what's going on. Because if it's not, and you're sitting there and you're so sad because you're yearning for someone, it's lack. You just like, oh, well, I missed them. And no, it's an attachment. When you truly love someone, there's no limit to it. It doesn't matter how close, how far, together, not together. The love doesn't change. It's always there, you know? And you'll know, because it's a very, very, very different feeling. And it's going to be different, and you're going to be like, what the fuck? And I don't understand it. And yeah, that's when you're like, oh, I unconditionally love someone. Like, that's weird. That's not your kid. But, you know, just have faith and really trust in yourself and understand that you are wise enough to overcome all of these things. Just change your story, change what your focus is on, okay? And allow the partnerships to occur so that you can collaborate and get out of this block that you're in. But you definitely need, get out of denial, accept things as they are. You know, even if it's hard as fuck to accept it, accept it. Sit with yourself and truly just be like, all right, well, why am I having such a hard time with this? What is it about this that I can't let go of? And if you played a part in it, then acknowledge your part and make amends with yourself. Make peace with yourself. You don't have to make peace with anybody else, but at the very least, make peace with yourself. Okay? So I hope those messages resonated with you guys. I love you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later.